Hey guys, welcome back to the Daily Triple. I'm your host, Casey. You can follow me on socials at Niners_fanman. We've got an NFL story from the Daily Triple newsletter here today. This one's revolving all around your guy, Kyler Murray. That is, if you're a Kyler Murray guy, I suppose. But Kyler seems his future in Arizona is uncertain. This all comes from Sports Illustrated. That's at least where I saw it first. Now it seems like it's kind of spread like wildfire across the NFL media. But essentially, this is a suggestion. This is a speculation that the Cardinals are going to move on from Kyler after this next coming season. And there isn't no reason to think that for sure. This team has been pretty tumultuous in the last few years. A lot of high expectations, never really met any of those expectations. And the fact that they just moved on from DeAndre Hopkins, who was the far and away number one receiving target for Kyler Murray in the Arizona offense, the fact that he's now out of town, we don't know exactly where he's landing yet as of this recording, but he's no longer in Arizona. So the fact that he's out of town, that might speak to the ownership and the management of the team. That might speak to them being somewhat out on this version of the Cardinals. They might be conceding a little bit here and thinking they need to build this team back up from the ground completely. Like just rip everything down to the studs and start all the way over. I guess you could even question whether or not Kyler should be a part of a rebuild at this point. I think that's where all this speculation comes from. Sure, he's still a young quarterback, but he hasn't performed the way you want him to. There's been some off the field concerns. Nothing terrible, just kind of. I will say this: his work ethic has been questioned. Whether or not that should be the case is still up for debate for sure. But they had to put some homework clause essentially in his last contract, and then they took it out to try to save face. But this has just been kind of a PR nightmare at the very least in Arizona the last few years. And even after that hot start a couple of years ago, they just fell apart, and they've looked like an awful team ever since. So the future doesn't look bright right now. I could see a team like the Cardinals moving on from their franchise quarterback in Kyler Murray, given the situation that they're currently in. I think it would be a ground up rebuild. They do have their first round pick next year. They're likely not going to finish very high this year, if every projection can be trusted. So they're likely going to get a top pick in the draft next year. And just for good measure, they also have the Texans' first round selection in their possession for the next draft too. So the odds of them being able to potentially get one of the top quarterbacks in the next draft class is very high. I definitely think there is some smoke to this rumor. It's very early on. Obviously, a good season by the Cardinals could really change things here if Kyler comes back strong. By the way, also just to make matters more complicated, Kyler is nursing an ACL injury right now, so he is not healthy. He's going to have to battle back just to get onto the field this season. I believe the only recent news that I know about his situation is that I don't think he's projected to be ready to go by the beginning of the season. How many weeks he will miss, that is up in the air as far as I know. I think he's going to get some time, and if he does get on the field this season, he really needs to show what he's made of. If not for the Cardinals, then for the next team, who will have to be trade partners with the Cardinals. So he needs to put something on tape to make him look like the NFL star that we all once and probably still somewhat believe he can be. So, yeah, if the Cardinals do look to trade him, definitely the biggest obstacle to that will be his contract. It's pretty par for the course, honestly, as far as, high potential quarterbacks go in the league nowadays. But he did just last offseason sign a 5 year, 230 $230.5 million extension. So, yeah, big investment to take on a guy like Kyler. But I could see one of the QB needy teams jumping in on his market and throwing their hat in the ring. And who knows? Kyler is the kind of guy who he could make a difference on a team. Imagine him somewhere like the Titans or one of those other teams where they aren't getting above average quarterback play really. So Anyway, I don't know what's going to happen with Kyler this season, and especially not beyond. I don't think anybody else does either. We're all just making up predictions at this point. But if you are on YouTube, go ahead and drop into the comments what you think about the Kyler situation. Where is he going to end up? How is he going to do next year? Where is he going to end up the year after that? What do you think generally about the NFL? I'd love to hear it. If you're listening to audio, listening to us on audio platforms like podcast app and things like that, well, you can please rate us 5 stars and review and tell us what you think about the daily triple or the longer form triple cross podcast episodes we do on this feed. And also, if you want to jump into the discussion, you can head over to YouTube and jump in the comments there as well. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on the situation. Guys, I've been Casey at Niners_fanman, and I'll catch you on the next one.